Hey folks, tonight we're diving into the gritty, whiskey-soaked world of the Wild West, where survival meant more than a quick draw. It meant outsmarting a world that wanted to chew you up and spit you out. Imagine stepping off a stagecoach, boots hitting the dust in a town like Deadwood or Tombstone, where opportunity is a double-edged blade. For a woman seeking control in a place where votes were reserved for men, running a saloon wasn't just a job. It was a high-stakes gamble for power, respect, and survival. So, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft hum, and settle in for a journey into the lives of the madams who carved their names into the frontier with charm, steel, and a ledger full of secrets. Drop your city and the time where you're at. I love knowing where you're joining me from. You arrive in town alone, a choice that sparks whispers and stares. Maybe you fled a violent husband, a cold boarding house back east, or just the soul-crushing monotony of sewing for rich women who didn't know your name. Whatever your story, you keep it buried. Out here, the past is dead weight. Your first job is sweeping broken glass in a saloon that reeks of sweat, gunpowder, and forgotten dreams. Bullet holes scar the mirror, the piano man's missing fingers, and the bartender wears a pistol like it's part of his uniform. This is your new world, raw and unyielding. But you notice her, the woman in the crimson velvet dress, cigarette in hand, ledger open, commanding the room with a single raised eyebrow. She's the madam, the real power behind the saloon's chaos. You study her, learning how she wields soft words and hard eyes to bend the town to her will. She notices you too. Maybe it's how you handle a rowdy miner or balance the books when the accountant vanishes. One night, she calls you upstairs with a drink and a test. Learn from me, and you might survive. Over months, she teaches you the art of survival. You learn to negotiate with suppliers without showing weakness, spot a card cheat from across the room, and flatter a judge while holding his secrets like a blade. You master carrying a knife in your corset, paying the undertaker in advance, and pouring whiskey to loosen tongues without losing control. Historically, women like Mollie Johnson in Deadwood or Fannie Porter in San Antonio ran saloons with sharper business sense than any prospector. Their establishments weren't just bars. They were the town's pulse, where deals were struck and secrets traded over shot glasses. Fun fact, some madams offer health insurance to their girls, decades before factories did. You're no longer just a barmaid. You manage the room like a conductor, defusing trouble with a smile and a free drink. When cowboys push for a fight, you slide in with whiskey and a quip, breaking tension like brittle glass. You track information, who's cheating, who's hiding, who's on a wanted poster, keeping coded records in a hidden drawer. Rosaline, the madam, hands you keys to the liquor lockbox and money room, a test with stakes higher than a poker pot. You step up, handling suppliers, checking decks for marks, and sending a cheating dealer packing without a word. The West is unforgiving, especially for ambitious women. You hear tales of madams bribing councilmen or turning brothels into secret speakeasies for spies. One quirky story claims some saloons issued loyalty punch cards, 10 drinks, get a free cigar. But freedom is a tightrope. Some say madams were queens of their dusty domains. Others argue they were caged by male protection. You feel both truths, but when Rosaline praises your knack for survival, it feels earned. Your clothes become armor, blood-red silk, black lace, a stiletto hidden near your ribs, a derringer in your velvet bag. Dressing is strategy. Look expensive, act untouchable. Rosaline taught you to make men nervous to touch you. One night, you test it wearing a plain dress to the bar. A man slaps you, calling you honey. Your blade's under his chin before he blinks, and he's gone by morning. Historically, saloon women used fashion as rebellion, satin as armor, playing cards as makeshift body armor. You order sturdy fabrics dyed dark to hide blood or wine, and the dressmaker stops asking questions. Trouble comes in threes: cowboys, lawmen, or sickness. You handle drunks with charm, redirecting anger with a well-timed story. Rosaline taught you that survival isn't a gun, it's a story. You let men believe you're a widowed opera singer or a railroad baron's mistress. Perception is protection. Pinkerton agents like Tilden sniff around, asking about Josephine, a girl who vanished with secrets. You give him nothing, knowing his kind trades and leverage, not justice. Some madams even train parakeets to repeat overheard promises. Quirky, but effective. Money is breath. You learn this over ledgers that whisper threats. Too many free drinks, too many lucky dice rolls. You tighten the ship. No credit for liabilities, cheaper cuts from the butcher, haggling with suppliers. Historically, madams kept better books than banks, with no room for error. You confront staff, letting silence do the talking and the numbers climb. When a banker offers a loan, you pitch your plan for a gambling den, knowing he'll want influence. Rosaline warns you. Men who smile at ambition won't own it. You're ready with terms and a backup plan. Dealing with drunks is a nightly dance. When Brock, a teamster, turns belligerent, you knock him down with a pivot and a boot to the knee. The room approves. No blood, no mess. Rosaline taught you to act fast and clean. Some madams hired muscle. Others, like a Colorado madam who felled 2 miners with a piano bench, did it themselves. You train your girls in self-defense. Elbows, knees, wine bottles as weapons. A Nevada madam used hat pins as deadly needles. You post rules. No drunk men upstairs. No exceptions. It saves lives. Sheriffs are just outlaws with badges. Sheriff Brandt demands protection, money, and you pay, knowing it's cheaper than a burn saloon. You keep extra licenses hidden, learning from madams who funded town justice through taxes. One quirky tale, a Nevada sheriff was a silent brothel partner, his badge willed to the madam. You build a network, befriending the clerk's daughter, discounting the fire brigade, because immunity is rented, not owned. Then Theodora arrives, a new madam with a polished saloon and harp music. She poaches your girl, Cora, and draws the mayor away. You counter with a loud poker tournament, better food, and French lessons for the girls. Historically, madam rivalries were brutal. Price wars, hired muscle, even parrots squawking insults. Theodora's society nights charm the town's wives, who petition to shut you down. You fight back with a community dinner, listing your contributions, jobs, funerals, coffee for the sheriff. The petition stalls, but the war lingers. Secrets are your currency. You collect them like poker chips. Miners' silver veins, sheriff's thefts, preachers' affairs. Your black notebook holds a town's sins, not for gossip, but for power. Madams were intelligence brokers, knowing outlaws and railroad plans before mayors. One quirky madam rented spyglasses for eavesdropping. When a stranger asks about Josephine, you deflect. Rosaline warns he wants to own the truth, but you decide what stays buried. You train your girls to survive, not just smile. After a customer gets rough, you teach them knife skills and soft spots. Ribs, thighs, jaw. Rosaline calls it an army. You call it getting home alive. When a rancher's son crosses May, she leaves him bleeding, and you send a message. He's lucky she didn't finish him. Historically, armed courtesans weren't fiction. Hat pins, garter guns, even parasols hid weapons. Your girls are snakes in silk, and you dare anyone to test them. Sickness hits like a thief. Catherine, a new girl, collapses with consumption. You burn sheets, clean with vinegar, and hire a midwife. Disease was a saloon's silent killer. Tuberculosis, syphilis, influenza. Some madams hired acrobats to ease workloads, a quirky proto-HR move. You move Catherine to cleaner quarters, memorizing her fevered stories of home. Scholars debate whether madams prolonged the inevitable or pioneered public health. You do both, out of desperation and devotion. Reformers arrive, church ladies with pamphlets, calling your saloon a blight. You counter with charm and a ledger of your contributions, jobs, donations, funerals. Historically, reformers shamed men and took children from working women, offering low-paying, respectable jobs. One madam donated a piano to kill a purity campaign. Your community dinner wins the town, but the reformers' glares linger. When Henry, your guard, is found dead and Josephine vanishes, you know it's no robbery. A bounty hunter's name surfaces, chasing her for Cyrus Dane, a shadow with 1,000 enemies. You lock down the saloon, arm the girls, and brace for what's coming. Historically, Saloon murders were rarely solved. Women were expendable. You find Josephine's bloodied scarf, a warning, and your heart hardens to iron. You leave for Silver Ridge, a boomtown with no madam. You buy a cheap lot, build the Canary, a name for the miner's warning bird. You hire loyal girls, import silk, and serve iced whiskey, a novelty that shocks miners. The preacher rails against you, but mirrors and French lessons make your girls queens. Historically, madams turned to luxury, marble tubs, champagne fountains, to blur sin and society. You trade opium quietly, learning its scent, building a fortress of information. Then the fire comes, swallowing the Canary. You save Analyze and Beatrice, but the silk and ice are gone. You rebuild in stone, with a copper alarm bell, because fires were expected. Some madams rebuilt 3 times. One kept a fire cat that sensed smoke. You hunt the arsonist, suspecting rivals or the preacher's nephew. Rosaline warns you're being erased, but you're terrified and unshaken. In's a young girl dies, poisoned maybe by mistake. You confront the apothecary, ban unknown medicines, and stock safe remedies. Historically, saloon deaths were common, some madams tying ribbons for the lost. You keep In's bottle as a reminder of neglect, vowing it won't happen again. The parlor game is your secret, a women-only poker night. Viola, a card shark, leads a table of lace and trousers, betting deeds and silver. Historically, female gamblers thrived, one using tea leaves to pick cards. Rosaline warns men will try to take it, but you've broken thumbs to keep it quiet. You dream of a traveling parlor, a secret society dealing its own hands. When a drunk miner grabs May, you crack his cheek with your pistols, but you train the girls harder. Knives, pressure points, candlesticks. Historically, madams armed their women. One offered self-defense Tuesdays. Your girls are wolves now, and customers tip better, sensing the shift. Clara Crane, a bounty hunter, arrives, asking about Josephine and Cyrus Dane. You lie. She was scared, you offered shelter, she left. Crane's aura is bulletproof. One female hunter caught criminals in a priest's robe. You reinforce exits, knowing Dane's men are coming. They arrive, organized, legal, demanding a ledger Josephine stole, a map of Dane's sins. You refuse, and when Josephine appears, offering the book, you burn part and send the rest to a judge. A shootout erupts. Your girls fight like they've trained. You take a graze, but the Canary stands. Historically, women survive by refusing to break, their boots leaving imprints in legend. Now you sit on the Canary's porch, arm in a sling, whiskey in hand. Josephine's back, helping with books. The girls laugh freely. The sheriff sends flowers, and you keep a bullet in a glass box, a reminder of what you've held. The West wasn't won by badges. It was won by women who didn't flinch.